So this is the all new Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, and today we're going to do a speed test comparison against the iPhone 16 Pro Max to see how they stack up in performance. Let's find out which one comes up on top, and by the end of this video, you're going to know which one performs better. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and let's go ahead and begin this video with a boot up test of the Pixel 10 Pro XL versus the iPhone 16 Pro Max in 3, 2, and go, and see which one can get there first. Now, I'm running Android 16 on the left, and we are running iOS 26 Beta 8 on the right. Now, before you dismiss me and say, well, that's a beta version, the iOS 26 Beta 8 is basically the complete version in terms of performance. The phone is performing amazingly well. It's just as fast as like iOS 18. All of the apps are opening fine. So we're still going to see how well the Pixel does. Now, just like in most of the Pixel comparisons that I've done, the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL did turn on faster. The Pixels just boot up quick. They are blazing fast to turn on, and it's no exception here. That Moonstone did really good. Let's go ahead and get on to the next test. All right, so let's go ahead and unlock these two phones. We'll check the biometrics here in 3, 2, go, and you can see the Pixel allows you to bypass the lock screen. There is a feature that will let you swipe it as well, but you can see as you look, the Pixel is a speedier phone when it comes to unlocking if you do enable that option. Now, if you go down into settings, go over here to face, just click face right there, click face here, put in your pattern really quickly. Once you're in the settings here, you'll go ahead and see skip the lock screen. You could turn that off. Now, if we test it here with the iPhone, we'll see that now it kind of just unlocked at basically the same time. Now, one thing that's nice about iOS 26 on iOS is it does have that new fly-in effect. Let's just see how both look right here. But you see the Pixel's going for more of a speedy look. So definitely, yeah, if we're doing a speed test, I have to say the visual effects of the iPhone are pretty and all that, but they're definitely slower looking than the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL when it comes to unlocking the phone. Not only that, this does have an in-display fingerprint sensor, so you can just go ahead and hold your finger down there. Not only that, you can just go ahead and hold your finger down there and get in the device. So there's multiple ways, and it's a bit snappier when flying in and things of that sort. Now, I find the software on the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, just like the 9 Pro XL or other Pixels, it's speedy, it's quick, and it kind of does flow really nicely because, you know, it's pretty simple. Of course, you do have a lot of Google experience on here, but it's alphabetical app drawer here, and there's just not a lot on top of this. So this is a very simple, easy phone to use day to day. And if you're coming from an iPhone, I think the Pixel is always going to be one of the best options. It's easy to transfer over to one. The shape of the phone is basically the same, and it's got that simple feel as well. While being rather different, it does have that simple feel. Now, iOS 26 Beta 8 over here is definitely running very smooth. I do feel like the app drawer just is smoother or faster on the Pixel. And I still feel in general that the iPhone tends to move along a little bit slower than almost all the Android phones that are flagships with 120 hertz. So it seems to be going for more of a visual pleasing effect. But both of them in 2025 are running really good. Now, the big thing about the Pixel 10 Pro XL is the Tensor G5. This one has the Apple A18 Pro chipset. If we go into Geekbench 6, you'll see the clock speeds there, 2.25 gigahertz on the first cluster, 3.05 on the second, and 3.78 on the third. Now, if I come over here, Apple A18 Pro clocked in at 4.04 gigahertz. So the highest cluster on the Pixel is not clocked as high as this one, but there is something to note here. This has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL is rocking a full 16 gigs. So that's doubling the RAM of the iPhone over there. So while the Tensor G5 might not be on paper as fast as an A18 Pro chip, it has double the RAM. So that should make up in the RAM management department. All right, so let me show you everything is closed out there. Everything is closed out there. Let's see how they do here. We'll begin with Calendar. And Calendar launched, I think it was first on the iPhone. I could be wrong. Let's go into Clock. and very close. Now, one thing I will say is that I feel like both of these phones are a lot closer than like Samsung and Apple, for example. Like their animations seem to be going for that similar smooth effect, but not necessarily the snappiest. Let's go out of here. You can see they both visually look pretty nice. Let's go into Play Store, App Store, and that launches first. I think that was for the Pixel. I do like liquid glass right here when you go like this. This is definitely a nice touch, how they have these visual elements across 26. Now this just kind of feels dated, honestly, a little bit, just because it's kind of like you're just tapping it and just like, I kind of like this, like seeing the magnification right here. That it kind of gives it a new effect. But definitely both of them very fast there. Let's go into some sub menus. How about games? And you see as we scroll through, I don't know why, but the iPhone looks like it's jumping a little. And this is not related to 26. Like it does this on all the iPhones. Just looks like it's scrolling smoother on the Pixel. Let's go over here to ChatGPT. That was faster on the Google Pixel. Let's go into Gemini. And Gemini, Google's own AI assistant, launched first on the iPhone. Let's go ahead and swipe up out of there. And we'll go over here to Grok. And one of the things is that just because the G5 might not be on paper as fast as the Snapdragon chips always, it still performs fine in day-to-day. So I got this pop-up, so I'm gonna run that one back. But in real-world practice, the Pixel, because it's very well optimized, that was faster on the iPhone, tends to perform really well. Let's hit YouTube here. And YouTube popped open first, albeit we weren't loading up content like we were on the Pixel, so that could be why. We'll go into some sub menus here. How about games? Faster on the iPhone. And I always think it's kind of ironic how certain Google apps will still launch and work faster sometimes on the iPhone. As we swipe through here, you can see you're not going to have no major issues. The Pixel is a 6.8-inch screen though, so when it does come to watching content and stuff of that sort, it's going to be a little bit bigger on the iPhone just by a hair. Also, its aspect ratio makes the Pixel slightly less wide. So the Pixel, while it is still a large phone, it does feel quite a bit more comfortable, I would say. It's also pretty grippy with its shiny sides. Let's go into Instagram. So let's go into Instagram, and you can see Instagram does launch first there on the left. And as we scroll through, let me go ahead and take a look at one of my Pixel posts from the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Let's go here. And this was from last fall. I'll be doing some more shots with the Pixel 10 Pro XL this year. Let's go ahead and swipe through. And both pretty good. That animation coming out didn't look very nice on that one for the 10 Pro. I will say the Pixel 10 Pro under setup was getting pretty warm. There's also an update right out of the box, so if you do buy one of them, you're going to have to expect that. But if you want to pick up a Pixel 10 Pro XL, you could support the channel at no extra cost to you by using my Amazon affiliate link down below in the description of this video. I think they're throwing in a gift card as well if you get one of these. If we go over here, we'll swipe through. But the trade-in deals are pretty substantial on certain phones as well. You can see right there, that was to the iPhone. So iPhone continuing to hold that crown for always launching the games first per usual in our speed tests. Let's swipe up out of here. And one of those is playing volume. So let me go ahead and check it. I think it was the Pixel. Yeah, it was the Pixel. Had the volume on. So let's go ahead and go into Race the Sun and see which one could get there first. Generally, though, I feel like these kind of give you that same polished, high-end feel, similar shapes, but we're not talking about camera here. We know the Pixel has a much further zoom with its AI 100 times zoom, so we could talk about that in a separate video, but we're just talking mostly performance here. But they both feel like they match their price tag in terms of like the polished premium speed and performance, although the iPhone seems to have that extra punch. I think for the long term, especially gaming, it might be to the iPhone. And it looks like the Pixel, and this was pretty close, but this one was going into that for Free Fire. Let's go into Call of Duty, and we'll see what happens here. And as we get into Call of Duty here on the left, looks like it's loading faster on the Pixel 10 Pro XL, but that could be a fluke. Sometimes it doesn't actually make it there first, and then the iPhone catches up, and the iPhone with the W. Now, I will say, during the actual gaming session, I found both of them to run these games just fine. So if you're playing COD or anything like that, they're going to be just fine. Both of them will throttle under heavier, longer, extended sessions. They don't have vapor. Well, the iPhone doesn't have vapor chambers. The Pixel is just a really good casual phone that now has a 3nm G5 that's making it even punch above prior Pixel generations. Although no 8 Elite on here, which I think would have took it to even another level, but that G5 is really good for the AI Magic Q and other included AI features, which are plentiful on the Pixel. So Pixel is way ahead in AI, but in sheer hardware performance, I think the iPhone still wins in a lot of departments. It took PUBG here. Let's go into Geekbench 6. That was faster on the iPhone. We'll go into 3D Mark. Faster on the iPhone to launch that. It just says 53 up there. That one was a little bit slow to launch there. We'll go into Speed Test Net. Faster on the Pixel and InShot. I think that was faster on the Pixel, but it did give me a pop-up. So the general conclusion here is that both of these are pretty neck and neck. The Pixel seems to launch apps a little snappier on some of the base apps. iPhone pulls ahead in the gaming department. Generally, real-world performance, I feel like they're very neck and neck here. The Pixel, though, is not necessarily blowing past the iPhone, though, kind of like what the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra does with its fast animations, 8 Elite chip. This one is kind of more neck and neck, I think, with iPhone right now. Okay, so let's go back through the applications. Now, the Pixel should do absolutely superb in this department, having 16 gigabytes of RAM. It should have no issues holding everything. And so far, it looks absolutely great. So if I go back through to Subway Surfers, I go to Dead Trigger. Let's go over here to Groupon, X, Instagram. A little bit of a weird animation sometimes. I feel like Google could make their animations a little bit faster. They are very smooth, but I like to see them maybe give us an option for faster besides the developer options 0.5. But you can see very fast and snappy. Now, another thing about this phone is this phone does allow you to have split screen. So if you go over here, you can split screen applications. And I think Apple really needs to take a page out of Google's book here with the split screen, because this is the way I think I can envision it happening more on the iPhone. Just a simple split screen. It doesn't have to be the more complex or the more advanced feature version of like Samsung phones, but just a simple split screen right here would be perfect for a large iPhone, but you can't do that over there. This phone takes better advantage of its RAM performance because of that. So heading back through the applications for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as I go through, it looks very smooth. One thing I notice about the iPhone is it has a level of consistency within its animation performance that I tend to really like. Another Android phone I think that does this maybe even better is the OnePlus 13. But the iPhone is doing very well here with its animations. They also got faster than before, and I would say generally they look a little bit snappier to me than the Pixel's animations, although rather similar. So not a big deal. Even with 8 gigs of RAM, it was fine. Even as I go back through to different applications, it seems like iOS doesn't really need more than 8 gigs of RAM to keep plenty of things open. Although the 17 Pro Max will benefit from that RAM as Apple Intelligence advances, having the multiple applications open at the same time, you're more like task switching here. It would be nice to see Apple give us the ability to split screen, but purely from the 8 gig of RAM standpoint, it seemed to perform just about the same, even though that has 16 gigs of RAM, although that could change as we're doing heavier tasks and even loading even more applications. And so the final Geekbench 6 results are in for the iPhone, and the Pixel is only at 84%. We have 3347 and 8359. Now if we go to single core, I actually got a bit lower than some other people's scores. Also in the multi-core, a little bit lower than the average, 8406. The 16 Pro Max benchmarks like some MacBooks. It's really that impressive. at least in the Geekbench results. And that's on iOS 26 over there. Now that's beta 8. Let's go over here to see what they're going to give us on the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. And a lot of people will tell you this doesn't matter. 2318 single core, 6127 multi-core. That's actually pretty solid for a Pixel phone. You can see right here scoring better than a Galaxy S24 Ultra, so better than the 8 Gen 3. If we go over to the multi-core score, that's better than the Snapdragon 8 Gen, or actually it's a little bit lower than the S24 Ultra on that comparison. So that's one of the reasons why some people just cancel, like they don't even want to get the Pixel though, is because they are giving you benchmark scores that kind of stack up to a prior year phone, but they're charging current year prices. And here are the final Wildlife Extreme results. You can see a 4635 and a 27.8 FPS on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Now that score is better than 87% of devices on the market. This one scores better than 60%. There's 40% more devices that can outperform the Pixel 10 Pro XL in benchmarks. I understand benchmarks aren't everything, but 3D Mark shows kind of like the graphics. So if you are pushing the phone, playing a game, basically the Pixel 10 Pro XL is not a gaming phone. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, not necessarily a gaming phone either, but it can handle the games much more powerfully than the Pixel 10 Pro XL. And let's go ahead and launch the cameras. Look at that camera icon on 26. Definitely looks a bit different than the past. Google's camera icon still looking like it's looked for years. Let's go ahead and that doesn't make it the iPhone's better. I'm not being biased towards it's better. I'm just saying they look newer. The Pixel's camera did launch first, and we'll do it again. 3, 2, go. And one more time. Now the iPhone, similar. The Pixel does do a bit more processing when you do take a photo though. So you might take a second. You have to wait a second for the photo to finish. It's a little bit slower in that respect. I just changed some kind of filter. That's why it looks like that. I think I just put a different filter on, but shutter speeds, pretty similar. Zooming through, yeah, that's a little bit choppy. Switching lenses there. However, 100 times with the AI, that's pretty cool. And the photos, I'm going to take them out, but I could already tell you, I haven't even taken it out for the photo samples, and I could already tell you the photos, I've taken some here in the light. They look ridiculous. So I can't wait to take it out and showcase in my real user review coming soon how it runs. But the iPhone's camera is a bit smoother, although not quite as smart, I would say, as the Pixels, but still has probably better video. We'll have to put that to the test, but both of them are very competitive in that department. So that's very good. Wrapping it up here, which one performs better? The Pixel performs really, really well. I think it feels faster for most casual use, even with the less benchmark score. Just the way the animations look, it just pops into the phone. It boots up super fast. The phone feels faster. But when you push the device, the iPhone does have a visually pleasing look. When you do push the device in things like Call of Duty, gaming, I found the Pixel to get warmer under the touch. And I find the iPhone to stay a little bit cooler, but also can sustain performance a little bit better. So start pushing them a little bit harder than we did here, the iPhone will pull ahead. Let me know your thoughts on this one down below. This was interesting to see how the Pixel 10 Pro XL does against the 16 Pro Max. I'm also going to do it against the S25 Ultra, the OnePlus 13, the 17 Pro Max. So stay tuned, keep it locked into the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. And be sure to be well. Nick here, and peace.